I grabbed one of the maps that I was able to acquire from the Forest Service so we could try to identify where these parcels are. And you can clearly see here that there's no identificational locator, so it's very hard to find these parcels. I was able to color in, just in real light yellow, a little bit about which parcels are McCroskey. So the ones that I've got colored in yellow, which there's far more particular parcels of land, these that I personally colored in of light yellow, at least so we have some form of identifying where McCroskey Park actually is, because WPT failed to identify any of the park parcels, so the public would have no awareness that this is actually McCroskey State Park running through this area.
Yeah, so and here's Highway 95 going up here, and you already have development on private lands that right up against this area, so you can see for development purposes how nice this would be, and you've got a skyline view of the world. However, you get over here, this is Potlatch. Yeah, these are private, but
the accessibility, you go right straight off the highway and you're right here in the Forest Service ground.
We're getting a little away from the timeline, but the important thing, I think you said, Kathy, and the important thing is that these lands were all examined by Teresa Truloff and WPT. They were chauffeured by now a retired Forest Service employee who can say, hey, we want to go here, we want to go there, we want to look at these lands. And so they were picked out without any real input from the people who really know about these, and that is the current employees on the Toulouse District, who have managed these lands for years and had little or no say. And that was the beginning letter that I wrote, that I read from a concerned Forest Service employee about how they were coerced in getting this and the speed with which this exchange was proceeding.
This exchange would have been completely done several months back had the public not become aware of this.
Yes, we'll get into that in this timeline. So this was in September of 2007 when these lands were picked out. Now, by February of 2008, a memorandum of understanding was signed in Missoula between the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, that was David Allen was president, the BLM, represented by Tom Dyer, a state director, and WPT, represented by our friend Brian Disney.
Western Pacific Timber.
And the U.S. Forest Service was the regional forester, Tom Tidwell, who is now the chief of the Forest Service.
After signing this memorandum of understanding, he became the chief of the Forest Service?
No, it was after Abigail Kimball retired as chief of the Forest Service that Mr. Tidwell was made chief of the Forest Service. Now, I would think...
Can I have time for just a sec?